Today I want to talk about everything as a service, include EaaS, PaaS, SaaS, and DaaS. This is my outline. But first, I want to talk about why we need to know this, and why this service is so important. And then I will talk about the three basic kind of service, and the other service, and do the conclusion. Nowadays, cloud computing is a hot topic. So what is cloud computing? Actually, we can separate cloud computing into three parts: the application, platform, and infrastructure. Each part can provide a different kind of service. And this service not only can provide functions separately, but also can compose together to provide a new service. So there are so many services online, and they are free. So I think it is really important everybody can know what kind of service you can use for build out your business or help your research. So the first one I want to talk about is EaaS, Infrastructure as a Service. The infrastructure service provider provides like the data storage or computing power. So what is the advantage if you use an infrastructure service? I think the first one is the service provider manage their client's data centralization. So that's why, so they can save the money on the real estate or electricity. So then the price will cheaper than the clients build out their data center separately. The second one is the service provider have a better scalability. That means they can dynamic adjust the resource. So that means the clients don't have to build up their system based on the peak loading. So the clients only pay for what they use. And of course, the better scalability will have the resource have a better utilization and have the efficiency. And this is an example of the EaaS, the Amazon Simple Storage Service. As you can see, the first 1 terabytes only needs the point, just like the 13 cents for the per gigabyte. So of course, you have also paid for the data transfer hour. And for the Amazon EC2, you can use the infrastructure or the computing power as your request. For example, if you need a high memory systems, they provide a 64 gigabytes memory to help you to running your program. So the second part I want to talk about the PaaS, the platform as a service. This kind of service provider provide a computing platform or developing environments. There are several types of the platform service provider. The first one will be they provide the developing environment based on the existing systems. And they are also some like the standalone development environment. That means they will provide you several API or library to help you to build up your system on their platform. And the other kinds service provider will be the open platform. That means you can use any kinds of programming language or any kinds of database on their platform. So what is the advantage if you use the platform service? That means when you develop your software or your system, you only just need to focus on your idea, because they will provide the tools and have API to help you to build out the system. For example, the source control, the version control, the API to help you to develop the system quickly. And the second benefit will be because they are based on the same platform, so it is very easier to integrate with other web service or other software on the same platform service provider. So here is an example of the platform as a service, the Force.com. because they provide so many libraries, support for the PHP, Java, .NET, Microsoft.NET, and they also support for the mobile SDK, like the Android, iOS, and also they provide a market to sell your app, and you can integrate with other people's app together to provide a new function. So the last kind of a basic service will be the software as a service. There are many kinds of software service, like the email, map, calendar. So here, I want to talk about what's the difference between the traditional software and the software service. So the first, the software service are device and the location independent. That means you only need one user account and password. You use through the browser, you can use the software service anywhere, on any device, even the cell phone or laptop. And the second one is the software service are centralization manager. That means all the computing power, all the computing and all the data are not on the client side, all on the server side. That have a several benefit, like it's easier to maintain or easier to develop because they only are on the same platform, and you don't have to worry about what version of the software you use. And the last one is the software service use a standard communication protocol. That means they have a benefit can to integrate with other software service. And then, for example, for the enterprise, maybe they want to provide their private data, but they also want to use the software service outside. So that if based on the standard communicated protocol, so that will be easier to create a connection between each other. So the example of the EaaS will be the Amazon Web Service. There's many kinds of web service on the Amazon they provide, and most of them are free. They provide like the website hosting, game apps, media distribution, e-commerce, or social media. So what else? If you search as a service on the Google, you will get maybe thousands of results. Maybe they have computing as a service, or hardware as a service. These two are parts of the infrastructure as a service. Or security as a service, that's a kind of the software service, or data as a service, so on. So what is a data as a service? Actually, that means some company, they provide a service like provide the geographic information, weather information. So maybe you want to ask, what is the advantage if I don't collect the information by myself? The first one is a cost. So right now, imagine that if you want to, right now, maybe you are running research, you need the weather information. It's better, I think it will be better than if you rent or buy the weather information service, then you build out a weather system, weather station by yourself. And the second one is the data quality, because the service provider can provide us this service based on the more modern equipment. So they will be gather information, the quality of the data will be more better than you get by yourself. So the example of the data as a service will be the Google Map. I think everybody will use a Google Map. They provide a geographic information, so you can request or see where you are or the geographic information online, and they request the information per code. So what kind of service you should use? If you already build out a system, or you want to control your system totally, just use the EaaS to upload your system on the infrastructure service provider, and then you can have a better performance or easier implementation. So if you have several ideas, about your research or business. You want to develop your system by yourself, but quickly. Just choose the PaaS, platform service. That will help you to deploy or to publish your system. So if you don't want to develop anyone, you just have someone to create your research or business, but from scratch, maybe you will use a service, software as a service, to like composite the service like a puzzle to build out what you want. So the benefits to use this service will be, I think the first one will be the money, because it's cheaper than you build on the software on your client side. Or I think the second one is the most important, is the quality. For example, for the data service provider, they can hire the secure expert to improve their security system. To better than you, maybe you have to do better than you hire it by yourself. And although we only talk about benefit, there's some drawback of if you use this service. I think the first one is the poverty, because based on all of the service, you just like to rent. Take the data as a service as an example. You rent is like when you want the information, you just have a request call to the system, and they will respond to you. But actually, you don't have such data. So imagine that if one day the company say, okay, the Google say, okay, if you want to search geographic information from me, you have to pay. Or one day the data service company close. What will be happen to your system or your company? And the second one right now is a platform transference. It's about if you, for example, if you build out your system on some platform service provider, and maybe sometimes you, based on the price, based on the cost, you want to change the platform. Sometimes there will, because they use a private library or API, that will be maybe difficult to transfer your system to another platform service provider. So this is my presentation. Thank you.